Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So, why is it important to stay humble as a trader? This is something that I think is very important to understand and to perceive. And I've seen this, unfortunately, with a lot of guys out there. Do you know what? When you're trading and you're doing well, it's very kind of easy to fall into the trap of saying, listen, I'm a genius, I've made however much I've made in a little time. Look at all these people doing this and working, and I'm trading, I'm a genius and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? The second you think you're a trading god is the second that you are going to get smashed into the ground. You know, it's almost inevitable, because the market it almost can sense when somebody is trading with an air of cockiness or arrogance about them, and it will punish you, because do you know what? It will affect your decision making, okay? And this is a kind of scientific fact, actually. You notice that emotions will change the part of the brain where the decision making is coming from. And we've talked about before, you know, fear moves the decision making process into a different part of the brain. And it's the same as, you know, if you're bragging, if you're kind of, you know, feeling like you're trading God, you feel like you can't do wrong, you're kind of, you know, got an arrogance about you, your decision-making process will change. And this is why it always ends up affecting people. Because let's say, imagine you're in a trade, the trade's going against you. Normally you'd say, listen, it's not working out, let me cut it, let me move on, let me find the next thing. But many traders who aren't staying humble or are sort of thinking that they're the next big thing are going to say, I'm right. You know, I'm right, because that comes from the arrogance within, doesn't it? That's the whole thing of arrogance, is I'm right and I'm just the best out there. And they will hold the trade. It goes against them. Well, I'm right. I've been right. I'm such a good trader. It goes against them. And ultimately, you know, maybe they're so arrogant, they're like, well, put more money in this. I know I'm right on this. More money in this. And eventually, of course, inevitable happens. It's kind of the same old story. That trade ends up hammering them, or this happens over a multiple period of trades. They don't stay humble enough to know that, you know, they need to know when to retreat. They need to know when to admit they're wrong. They need to know that the ego doesn't play a part in the game. I'm either right or wrong on it, and it doesn't matter which. I'm looking at the long-term game here, and I'm staying humble. I'm just executing my plan and my process very, very carefully and very, very strategically. I don't have any kind of link to my self-worth and my arrogance and my ego based on my trade. And this is why people downfall. You know, the guys who have done well and are not doing it anymore, the guys who are doing well consistently, always are so humble with it. They're like, listen, you know, I'm just doing my job. I'm working out with it. I don't, you know, I've got this strategy that's working well for me. At any point it could stop working. I'm going to make hay while the sun shines. I'm going to press it while it's doing good. I don't believe I'm any better than anybody else. I just believe that I've got something that's working right for me. You know, I'm utilizing a little bit of luck on my side at the moment. It happens to be in a bit of an upswing, and I'm going to press that. You know, I'm in tune with the market. You know, I'm very self-aware that if I feel too egotistical about it, I need to back off. You know, so this comes to the point of, like, there's a difference between the guys that are really winning and guys that are losing. You know, often if you see guys who are saying, yeah, I made this on a trade, I'm so great, I'm so that, I made this week, it's a big red flag, guys. And if you find yourself doing it, then just back off a little bit and say, hey, you know, just be humble, bring yourself down to ground and say, hey, listen, you know, you've done well. Use it as a foundation to build on. You know, you could be taken away from you in an instant. You know, don't perceive yourself as someone being better than anybody else. Say, listen, I've done a good job. Very well done. Now let's move on. Now let's do the same process. Let's be consistent. Let's pretend that never happened, and let's just do the same thing again and again and again and again. You know, the danger is, and okay, listen, I've been in a situation before where I've had really good, you know, days and weeks, and the next day I've been a bit more carefree about things. I thought I've been a little bit more, you know, indestructible than I was. And of course the market is just going to give you a little whack. And if you're, you know, aware of it, it gives you a little whack and you go, okay, yeah, all right. I was being a little bit arrogant there. I was thinking I was something I was not. But sometimes it will give you a massive whack. So you've got to be very careful of that. And it's kind of the same thing after a heavy loss. you've got to be careful of your emotions. Same with after this kind of, success in the market. You've got to be careful. Obviously, the difference between being confident in your trades and your ability, that's one thing, but then the arrogance of, oh yeah, I can do anything I want in the market, will actually, manifest itself into your decision-making process, and that's where the damage is done, because the decision-making process changes, and any emotion or mindset or approach that changes your decision-making process, changes the way you trade, will change your P&L for, if in this case, for the worse. So being careful of that, staying humble. If you have a good spell, great, say thanks, congratulate yourself, give yourself a little reward, whatever it is outside the market, then come back in, clean slate, and just do the same thing again. Repeat the process, Don't look at the previous success and say that you're going to continue doing that, because you at some point you will have a drawdown, and how you manage that is actually going to be more kind of influencing your long-term success than the kind of good spells. So yeah, interesting thought, guys. Let me know what you think about that. Staying humble on those kind of stuff and different emotions in trading. Will be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. See you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.